Hi, so today we will talk about who Magellan is and we will also talk about his expedition in the Philippines. Ferdinand Magellan, a Portuguese in the service of the Spanish crown, was looking for a westward route to the Spice Islands of Indonesia. In their expedition, they bring with them the five ships called Santiago, San Antonio, Concepcion, Victoria, and Trinidad. It was composed with 270 crews, 40 of them were Portuguese. On November 1520, they found the Pacific Ocean. So as you all know, Pacific Ocean is one of the largest ocean here in the globe. So due to the vastness of the Pacific Ocean, they were there for almost 99 days or 99 days I think. And then as the days went by, they experienced hunger due to lack of foods, because as what I've said, they were there for 99 days, and due to hunger they were forced to eat rats, and in result they acquired the disease scurvy that causes the 19 people to be dead. So, after sailing for a long time in the Pacific Ocean, they finally get to see an island via the strait at the bottom of South America, and now bears his name. He then became the first person to cross the Pacific Ocean, culminating with his arrival in Guam and specifically in Marianas Islands. So there they encountered the natives of the Marianas Islands, and the natives stole their things in their boats. They left the Marianas Island, and Magellan called it the Island of Thieves. After he left Guam, he sighted Summer Island on March 16, 1521, and landed the next day on Homonhon Island, now part of GE1 Eastern Samar. Though he was out of food after crossing the Pacific Ocean and after being stolen by the natives of Guam, he still did not land to get some food. He docked in Homonhon on March 16, 1521, and managed to get food and water. The island was still uninhabited that time, thus the common misconceptions that Magellan discovered the Philippines. Instead of just finding it, he was seen by the boats of Raha Kulambo of Limasawa, an ally of the Raha of Cebu. He named Homonhon and the rest of the archipelago of St. Lazarus after St. Lazarus, whose feast day falls on March 17. Humumu was the original name of the island before, but now it became Homonhon. So what are the activities they did there? So the celebration in the town is very historical because of the various artifacts displayed in the place. Also, the trade fair and presentation of the local products in the city are intended to attract the buyers and the investors. So how did Magellan keep his men alive? So basically, using his words of Christianity, that's all. I mean, and also by trading, they trade their left things in their ships, and in exchange he make good friends with the Raha of Limasawa, which is the Raha Kulambo, and Raha Kulambo introduces Cebu to him, saying that Cebu is a rich place, and I think that's the reason that's the reason why they went to Cebu. So due to inadequate food supplies and as what I've said, the Raha of Limasawa introduces Cebu to Magellan. He was forced to land at Cebu. Landing in Cebu with a show of heavy arms, he refused to pay any fee for entering the port. He even threatened Raha Humabon, the Raha of Cebu, of course, the local ruler, and boasted about his victories in Malacca and Calicut. He then offered them gifts and befriended them. So obviously, Raha, Humabon, and Magellan became friends easily. He then offered them gifts and befriended him. The Raha, who welcomed Magellan to the island, wanted to hold a kasi-kasi, a blood brother ceremony, or sandugo. Magellan then started converting the native people to Christianity. He covered 800 people of barangay or villages. Before conversion, the natives worshipped their own main god, whom they addressed as Bathala, along with other subordinate gods. The natives who live in a small barangays were controlled by local chieftains called Rahas. During the baptisms, Magellan planted a cross at the site. The natives accepted the Catholic beliefs that there is only one God. Magellan was able to convert most of the powerful leaders of the islands except one leader called Lapu-Lapu. So what literally happened in Cebu? So during his stay in Cebu, Magellan found out that some of the local inhabitants there had refused to acknowledge the King of Spain, because his motives there were to spread Christianity, of course, and for them to obey the King of Spain. And as a warning to the villagers, he burned a few villages. However, in spite of the warning, Lapu-Lapu opposed the control of Spain over the islands, and this was the cause of, Battle of Mactan. So how did the Battle of Mactan happen? So on April 27, Magellan led a force of 49 heavily armed and armored men in an invasion of Mactan Island, so where Lapu-Lapu had rallied his supporters. Because of the difficult topography of the waters, or due to the condition of the sea that is low tide, the Spanish could not bring in their ship, or more importantly their cannon, within range of the defenders. Instead, they chose to fight with muskets and hand-to-hand arms. What they were not prepared for was the force of well over 1,000 natives hell-bent on driving them back into the sea. So the battle was ferocious because of their superior arms. The Spanish killed many natives. In the end, they were simply overwhelmed by numbers. Amazingly, most of the Spanish fled and survived. However, Magellan himself was killed, and his body kept as a trophy. In the end, the victory was a brief one, and the Spanish returned in force by the mid-16th century. Interestingly, both Ferdinand Magellan and Dato Lapu-Lapu are now honored as national heroes in the Philippines. So after Magellan's death, the survivors in 2 ships sailed on to the Moluccas and loaded the hulls with spice. One ship attempted unsuccessfully to return across the Pacific. The other ship, the Victoria, continued west under the command of the Basque navigator Juan Sebastian de Elcano. The vessel sailed across the Indian Ocean, surrounded the Cape of Good Hope, and arrived at Seville on September 9, 1522, become the first ship to circumnavigate the globe. And that's the end of my summary.